So welcome everyone. It is November the 15th, 2023, and we are studying prudence, the Halion chakra, the sixth dimension with Albert Einstein. And eventually we'll get to the law of attachment and detachment. Prudence is being explained to us by Saint Bernadette. So we'll just jump into the slideshow. There we go. Okay, so there we are. And my apologies to Saint Bernadette because I did not have her picture up. I had two pictures of the Buddha and I didn't have a picture of Saint Bernadette. So there she is. She's dressed in her peasant garb. And this is the Buddha, Sanakamara, and Albert Einstein. Of course, Mother Mary watches over everything. Okay. And this is an illustration I've done of the Halion chakra. I wasn't given, how it looks, so I just kind of made it up. But it is blue, it's pink, it's mauve, it's some turquoise and violet shot through with mint green. So you can see I've got the mint green where I had it before on the outside is now on the inside. So I think that's better, and it's mostly blue. So this chakra is right above, below the heart. It's called the sternum. So, and the other chakra we're going to be studying is this one called the high heart. So prudence, you can see it's a bunch of different colors. It's the colors of the Halion chakra. It's also the colors of the high heart. So these are new combinations of rays. They're called Halion and Sarun. And the sixth dimension is attached to, the Halion chakra is a portal to the sixth dimension. And this is our DNA activation and also the release of our need to be in control. So we'll go into that a little bit more here. So this is a bit of a review. We did this with Albert Einstein last week. The sixth dimension is his favorite. There are many above and below who would suggest that the human race collectively is in the process of experiencing the growth opportunities of the sixth dimension. When we say chaos, we speak of it in terms of creative chaos. For in every chaotic situation, whether it is internal, such as cancer, or external, such as war, or societal breakdown, there is an opportunity for growth. The biggest opportunity for growth of the sixth dimension is the understanding that we are not in control. It brings with it the growth of the qualities of surrender, trust, fortitude, and hope. It is the ability to acknowledge that seemingly random chaos has divine patterning. It teaches the lessons of reaping what you sow. It brings forth a profound appreciation of the gift of the unknown. So what I realized about this is that the more we surrender, we can live in the now. There's no worry about what's coming. We just are in the now. And you probably have seen me color the word now green. So that's bringing us into the space of compassion in the heart, into just being able to embrace the unknown, basically. It's the place of no time too. So in the higher realms, there's no time. Here, the more we come into the now, we will find there's less attachment to time. So this is a dimension for the release of all addiction to pain connected to control. And I put a little thing here on the side. Yes, Darren.
Yeah, it looks like he includes the breakdown of the old situation in the creative chaos, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And all the lessons that we are learning, we have learned for thousands of years. So I put here, for thousands of years, we've had chaos on Earth, not really looking at the beliefs that created them. And now, in one lifetime, we are here to balance everything. So it's a pretty big task. So the more we let go of this control and trying to figure out what's coming, then we're there. So we come into the now and we just embrace the unknown. So I have to admit, I've been in that space for a while. I don't really know what's coming, and I don't try to look and ask for it. I learned that lesson really well a few years ago. So Yeah, it's yeah, the gift of the unknown. I highly recommend embracing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say we're up to the task.
Yeah. And so that's the letting go of all control, because there's no control when we're in the now, basically. And we're not judging anything. Okay, so now the explanation for the blessing and virtue of prudence, the divine quality of prudence, is it is the twin of temperance, the ability to know in all situations when to proceed and when to retreat, when to take action and when to be still, when to offer help and when to keep silent, to know in exact measure what is required, whether it is in baking a cake or healing a psychic injury, all things in correct measure. Prudence encompasses the quality of moderation, the genuine knowing and practice of everything in balance. No one person can live in only one area of their being, their life, and truly be representative of the whole. Prudence allows for the complete and total release of addictions, an unusual trait on earth. The colors are Sarun and Halion, which are rays of the higher dimensions. Yes, Darren.
Yeah. It looks like to be in prudence, you have to be in absolute balance and everything.
Yes, and St. Bernadette will explain how to do that. And I've got some diagrams. It's actually not that difficult. And the complete and total release of addictions, I believe, is connected to us and control. It's the addiction to pain and the release of needing to control things is part of that. So this is a little bit of an explanation of the Merkaba and working with these two chakras. So the high heart is connected to the warming colors of the sun and the father and the fire, and the cool chakra below is connected to the waters. And you know that when Saint Bernadette was alive, she had visions of the Divine Mother and where to dig for these healing waters to spring forth. So she does talk a lot about the healing waters, but also being in joy. So the joy of the fire energy, of being in gratitude, and the coolness of the healing, the forgiveness piece. So I have a little bit more. And the Merkaba, which is the spinning triangular energy that's around the physical form and how orbs move. From my understanding, the golden yellow spins clockwise and the blue energy spins counterclockwise. So with the Merkaba, you can feel and think of those spinning energies around the physical form, one going one way, the top going counterclockwise and the bottom going clockwise. And it's just that Merkaba energy that's around us, and it's around the planet as well. So that's hence this star-like shape of two triangles in this symbol of the heart chakra. And I tried to explain it here by the energy just being in triangles around the physical form. So it's just to give you an idea of the Merkaba and what St. Bernadette is explaining. So here's the Porlana Sea. It spins counterclockwise, and the ascension spiral spins clockwise around the planet. So, and this is our DNA activation. The 13th strand of DNA activation, I think, is connected to us being very peaceful within. So that activation of understanding, we're here to forgive everything, all the past lives, all the people abusing power, basically not to hold them in any judgment, because we've all been there, done that. And St. Bernadette brings that up, saying she does not want to be called a saint. And most of the beings called saints connected to the Council of Love do not like being called saint, because it puts you in a hierarchical position where we're here to release that judgment of saint and sinner and just come into the middle. So this meditation called Porlana Sea is an amazing meditation to be doing right now. It brings you into your mastery, understanding the blue energy and how it spins, the ascension spiral, and also the magenta color of our mastery. So, and I've been posting that meditation in the links, with the links. So there's just an outer view of this little diagram I made of the Merkaba and the understandings of the warmer chakras. So there's a lot of warm ones below, and then there's the high heart, and then there's mostly cool ones above, and there's a bit of cool right below. So you've got cool and hot to create the place of moderation in the heart. But St. Bernadette will explain it better. Okay, so here she is. She was a very, her family life, her family was very poor when she was growing up. So here she is in her peasant garb. She's got very black eyes. She's plain but full of light, and she's here to teach us prudence. So I wanted to look up a little bit more detail about what exactly happened. So there is quite a bit of detail of the visions that she saw, where Linda said she had 60. All I could find was that were written about, there was about 18, but maybe the 60 came from St. Bernadette, as you know, channeling through Linda. So Bernadette was born in 1844 in France. Her family lived in a dungeon, the basement of a relative's home, and was desperately poor. There were 9 of them in one room. Bernadette was very sickly as a child. She had cholera, then suffered with asthma, which lasted her whole life. She also contracted TB and had digestive problems. February the 11th, 1848, age 14, Bernadette was gathering firewood with her sister and a friend near a grotto when she experienced her first vision. While the other girls crossed the little stream in front of the grotto and walked on, Bernadette stayed behind, looking for a place to cross where she wouldn't get her stockings wet. She finally sat down to take her shoes off in order to cross the water when she heard the sound of rushing wind, but nothing moved. Now, has anybody heard that? I've actually heard that sound quite a bit. And at first I didn't realize it was the Divine Mother, but it's actually how she can come to us. So just watch for that sound of the rushing wind in your ears. Then a wild rose in a natural niche in the grotto, however, did move. From the niche, or rather the dark alcove behind it, came a dazzling light and a white figure. This was the first of 18 visions that have been recorded that's on the internet. And as I said, Linda said there were about 60, so I'm not really sure what the real number is. It could be a really high number, because visions are visions, and they can come fast and furious. Bernadette's story caused a sensation among the townspeople, who were divided in their opinions on whether or not she was telling the truth. Some believed her to have a mental illness and demanded she be put in an asylum. On February the 25th, she explained that the vision had told her to drink of the water of the spring, to wash in it, and to eat the herb that grew there. To everyone's surprise, the next day, the grotto was no longer muddy. Clear water flowed. March the 25th, the 16th vision went on for over an hour. April 7th, Bernadette had another one, during which her hand was apparently not burnt while being in contact with the flame of a candle for several minutes. On June 8th, the mayor of Lourdes decided to barricade the grotto and put guards to prevent access. On July the 16th, Bernadette came back to see the grotto from the other side of the river and experienced her 18th and last apparition of the lady. With no desire to be a public figure, Bernadette became a nun, her physical fragility playing a factor in her retreat from the world. So one of the things that she said here was she wanted us to be clear about the Catholic title saint. Most of the saints do not call themselves saints, as it creates separation, ideations of better than. We've all been saints and sinners on earth. Now is the time for forgiveness of everything, gratitude to everyone for all the roles we have played. There is rarely a hero without the opposite role, the villain, as Lao Tzu explained when he taught us humility. So Saint Germain is a family name. He is not a Catholic saint. And St. Francis introduces himself by saying, I am Francis, you can call me Frank. So it seems like a lot of the beings on the other side, like nicknames, like Jesus likes to be called Yeshi, SK likes to be called Raj, like Archangel Yophael likes to be called Yofi. So nicknames are like nice and denote like no hierarchy in the higher realms. So this is a little breathing exercise with the rays of prudence. So the rays are Halion and Sarun, the sternum chakra and the high heart. So they surround the heart chakra. Halion was once a planet that evolved to sheer energy. The Halion engineers know all about ascension. So right now we're going to open to the Halion engineers just by breathing their ray. So if you feel like you want to just open up for them to help us, they are all around us right now, and they love to construct and reconstruct, especially our fields and bodies that need attention to bring us into perfect balance. So Halion is electric blue, Electra blue, that's a planet in the Pleiadian sector. That's like lightning bolts of blue, that beautiful cobalt blue. It's pink, it's mauve, it's some turquoise and violet shot through with mint green. So if you just want to breathe all those colors into yourself in your imagination and let it fill your heart, your head, your torso, your legs. Just take some deep breaths of this beautiful ray. The blues, the pinks, the mauves, turquoise, violet, the mint green. And just allow the Halion engineers in to construct and reconstruct anything within any of our fields and bodies that need attention to bring us into that perfect balance. So let's just rest just for a moment and let them come in. And no, this can be ongoing too, as we're doing this slideshow and on into the night too. Okay, and now let's take a deep breath of Sarun. And Sarun is peach and pink and gold, the color of peach fuzz or a perfect sunset. It swirls, it moves. So breathe that in now. Feel your high heart, your center for harmony, for balance. And feel your heart chakra, your high and your higher heart chakra opening and blossoming like the perfect peach rose. So this is just a little exercise that you can do whatever you feel like it, just breathing these two rays, inviting in the Halion engineers. Simple, and it's a great little exercise. Okay. And as you do that, you will feel like the energy goes right out into your field. So you can see your field is lots of different colors. So is Halion and Sarun. And I did send out some information about the healing ships as well today by email. So if you haven't checked your email, check it. There's an audio to listen to with Ashira, and talks about the ships and how just to intend to go to the ships. He said often they're right above our houses, and then when you wake up in the morning, ask about it, and that's the time to remember. And that's interesting because when I do talk to people about asking questions of our guides, I say ask at night anything, and when you wake up in the morning, that's when the answers are there. So like it's the same with the healing ships. You can ask about the healing ships right when you wake up in the morning. Okay, and this is kind of interesting because when my daughter and I were doing the painting back in 2009 for our greeting cards, she was coloring Sarun. I didn't know what she was doing. but you can see she was going to town with the ray of Sarun. All these beautiful images that she was painting. So the peach and oranges, pinks, golds, it's the skin of a peach. Yeah. Okay, so and it sits right here. So there's the Sarun and there's the Halion. And that's what these are the two rays of prudence. And there's the Halion again. Okay. And now we're going to do this little exercise with the silver as well right now, because this is another one that's a great practice for, and I think we'll start doing it before the study of any of the blessings and virtues, because it brings us right into the clarity. So it's taking 7 deep breaths. So you can just open your crown chakra, that beautiful lotus flower, to receive. And this is connected to Archangel Uriel. Think of the flash of ice skate blades, the silver of water, the silver of a grandmother's wedding ring, the gray of storm clouds. These are the silvers into the grays, and the grays tinged with violet and lavender. And we're going to feel our third and fourth and third eyes opening, and the center of our palms. So the silver ray is the ability to see into situations, into the darkest places, or during the darkest night of the soul, the letting go of all control, letting go of all our addiction to pain. The silver flame is always there for us. So we're going to breathe it in 7 times, and I will count. So take in 1 and 2 and 3. Breathe it in and out through your mouth. And 4. And 5. And 6. And 7. Bring us. It helps with our clarity. It helps with everything. Silver is the color of truth. Okay, so now we're going to jump right into Saint Bernadette and her explanation of prudence. And she says, I am Bernadette. Bonjour. It is my honor and my privilege to speak to you this day. And always, of course, I speak on behalf of the Sacred Mother. But I also speak to you from my experience as a human being, as a young girl, and later as a woman. No, not as a nun, a woman who chose her path despite many obstacles. I'm not sure what she means there, because it sounds like she did go into the nunnery, but maybe she's speaking to us not as a nun here. So just as the being that was on her path. Yes, I speak to you about prudence, but I also speak to you about these obstacles, what we will call human obstacles. Yes, Steve.
My understanding was that she wasn't a nun, that she took shelter and retreat in the convent, but she never became a nun. That was my understanding.
Okay, okay, then that makes sense. She was not. Okay, thank you. Okay. I speak to you about prudence, but I also speak to you about these obstacles, what you will call human obstacles, because let me tell you, when I began to share, first with my sister and my good friend Marie France, that I was seeing a lady, not only were they afraid, they thought I was crazy. You, my friends, have experienced much the same thing when you have said, well, we are going to shift dimensions. We are going to take care of one another. We are going to lift up out of poverty in every sense of the word of the human existence. And we are going to be prudent in our actions, not only with ourselves, but with one another. We are not going to interfere with the passage of another being, but we are going to be there as support and sometimes the observer. And she says, many have thought you crazy. No. I've been called crazy a few times. She says it does not matter because you are being true to your sacred self and you're practicing not only prudence, but you're also practicing temperance and balance and moderation. And when you are away shore, this is of particular importance. When you are a teacher or a channeler, you know very well when to say something and when to keep quiet. This is very important. This is a very important quality to know exactly where to place the word, where to place the energy, where to place the look in the eye, the smile on your lips, the touch of a hand that is encouragement, not theft, and when to stay still and understand that in that quietude that you are holding the energy for the person or the group you're working with, and that this is something that they need to proceed with, that they are perhaps not quite ready to hear, or that it is something that they need to discover for themselves. So that's really advanced healing techniques. I like that. This quality of giving others the opportunity to discover something for themselves is often overlooked and underrated. You see it all the time in the petit enfant, the little children, that it is so important for them to understand how things work. You will see them sit and stare at something, explore it, bring it in their mouth, in their hands, until they have a concept of what it is, and then they begin to play with it. Or they discover that it is foul tasting and they avoid it. And it is in this way that so many human beings learn. But I also wish to speak to you, my dear friends, that I've offered my help and guidance to you for many, many years. No, I am not just speaking of the healing waters, because I cannot and do not claim that as my assistance to you. That is a gift directly from the Divine Mother. So other than digging in the dirt, it has very little to do with me. So when I've stepped forward and I've offered my assistance to you, I do not do so as some miracle worker. I do so as a sister and as a fellow journey being. I do so in prudence, and that is why you do not hear me talk a mile a minute or all the time, because I feel that I can be far more help simply helping you discover your balance. When you have learned in your culture how to skate, how to ride a surfboard, how to ride a bicycle, how to ski, or those boards that you use now, you can receive instruction, and it is very helpful. And there's much instruction available to you on the sacred passage, but there is that moment where you find your center of balance and everything falls into position, into place. It clicks in. It's like a click in my charger. It clicks in, and that is not something that can be taught. And even when the instructor demonstrates it time and time again, it only happens when it occurs for you. And it is this place of your center of balance. It's like learning to ride a bike when you're little. And all of a sudden you can do it, but it takes a bit of practice. Now, in this process of ascension, all energy and all focus has been on the love and on the heart. But you will notice that in prudence, the focus is on the Halion, which is at the bottom of your rib cage, and your connection to the star beings, your brothers and sisters who are very present, not only above, but in your neighborhoods as well. And the Saroon, which is the high heart. Now, why is this so? Because when you are opening both of these centers, what you are doing is allowing now for the heart without interference to come into balance, into that place of moderation. Moderation, and particularly in the current Western civilization, is not always a very popular notion, and yet it is absolutely necessary and essential ingredient to your forward movement in ascension and in the anchoring of Nova being and Nova Earth, because in moderation, there is no high drama. Now, that does not mean that there were not moments of incredible excitement. Do you not think that when I saw the lady, that there was not great excitement in my heart, in my mind? My very body felt like it was on fire. Excitement is absolutely wondrous. It is akin to the virtues of awe and joy. So do not think that prudence is so blasé. It is not. It is in the place of moderation. And so it is the balancing between this fire, so the high heart, and the healing waters. So that's the Halion chakra below the heart. And I am like, from all my studies, the fire energy is connected to us being in gratitude for everything. All the journey, the big long journey that we've been on, and for every being on earth, no matter if they're using power or not, we're here to just be in our humility and extend that humility out to the collective. And the healing waters is understanding the forgiveness of everything. The water energy connected to the mother, connected to her non-judgment of everyone. And we're us here to emulate that here. So there we are. There's the cool chakras that are above and below. So the understanding of the throat chakra and the forgiveness of everything. And that's in that Halion chakra as well. And then the fire energy of gratitude, the father energy that is above, and it's also below. It's in all these chakras down here as well. So it's just the teachings of the blessings and virtues are embedded in the entire chakra system. And prudence is just us understanding the moderation piece, the above and the below. The balancing of the spinning. So then St. Bernadette says, let me say to you that any water is healing water. When you say a prayer to the mother and you ask her to bless your water, to turn it into the sacred healing waters, that request and that prayer is always heard. And as you sip that water, I will be there with you. So you can call on Bernadette and the mother anytime you're drinking your water in the daytime. I actually leave water on the counter with crystals in it to help the purification of it. And whenever I'm drawing the water, I am always calling on Bernadette and the mother and talking about healing for the planet. So she says, so I am not one of the more fancy or gregarious beings, but I wish you to know that I am with you. And I know what it is to have your faith tested. She says, be strong, my beloved ones. Okay, and then Susie goes on to ask some questions here. She says, I'm excited to be speaking with you, Bernadette, and you feel like a sister to me. I feel in following the divine qualities, it's intuitive and natural. I'm wondering, for people who feel that they can't access their intuition and guidance, have you got any advice for them? And Bernadette says, it is not a matter of simply feeling that you are intuitive or that you are blessed in some extraordinary way. In fact, that is why we have outlined and suggested the practice of each of the blessings and virtues. It is not so much expansion as anchoring. And in the anchoring is the expansion. So the more we study them, the more we understand them, the more that they anchor into our physical being, those understandings, there's expansion in that. And it just goes on into infinity. The more the study of them happens, the more the understanding sinks in. So she says, so yes, I can be very practical, and it is a matter of practice. So do not become discouraged. But for example, when you're practicing prudence, and you can say this on a weekly basis, that this is my week, and this is why we've chosen to do it this way, that this is my week of prudence, and you can check yourself. So what she's suggesting is to take a blessing and virtue a week. And we are kind of doing that. We're taking segments of information embedded in the chakras. So we are learning. So when you are doing something, and it is very important that prudence takes into account yourself. So for example, you're sitting down to think about or to prepare a meal. Now, as a child, I often went hungry. And when the rare occasion occurred where there was bounty or much to eat, I have to tell you that all of us stuffed ourselves. So she's probably talking about her family there. Now, was that prudence? No, because in fact, our bodies were not used to processing so much food. So think of it in this way. When you are thinking about what to cook for your family for your supper, and you look and you have 12 pieces of vegetables and 2 pieces of different meat, perhaps you have different drinks, you have water, you have very often too much. Now, this comes from a sense of wanting security. It also comes from a sense of when you are eating, it is often social, but it is also celebration. It is a sacred time for many families. In fact, for many families, it is the only time that you're sitting together or gathering together. But one of the ways in which you can practice prudence is to look at the food and say, now, is this truly prudence and balance and moderation, or am I overdoing it? Am I wasting? Am I cooking for tomorrow? Is this ridiculous, or is this what we need for the day? So it's just a good practice to, keep checking to see where we are at with just things we're doing in the daytime. So she's saying that's prudence, to keep looking at it. Very often you have a tendency to fly into the old way, which is blame of self. And you take responsibility for something that you've done or not done, and you go on and on and on, not necessarily to whoever you've offended or mistreated, but to yourself. That is not in balance. That is not in moderation. That is not in temperance or prudence. The prudence is to acknowledge where you have gone awry, to look at it, to do whatever repair work is necessary, including especially letting it go, to apologize to yourself, to the universe, to whomever you have harmed, and then to proceed. It is not to dwell on it day after day after day. I've made a mistake. I can never go on. That hopeless feeling, that is not prudent. That is not kindness. So bring it back to the practical level of how you live your life. So that's actually really wise what she said to do there. So if we're ever triggered by something, it's just to sit still immediately if you can, or as Archangel Michael would say, if it happens at work and you can't do it, then just do it later that evening. But to sit still and do the repair work, and it can be done really quickly. And that's what I have that list of questions that I give to people. It's how is this connected to the past? Can I be in forgiveness? Can I be in compassion? Can I be in gratitude? And she's saying, really focus on the apologizing, the letting go, and just get back up and proceed. So it can be, she says, not to go on and on. Then she talks about, is it prudent to spend $300 on a pair of jeans? And she says, now, if you're saying it is prudent because the jeans will last a lifetime, and by the way, I'm giving myself a treat, then fine, but examine your motivations first. Live in that place of balance, because it is going to make you feel better. It is going to make yourself feel that you are exactly where you need to be. This is the reward of prudence. It is not prudence for prudence sake. It is that it leads you to a place where you feel that you are not living in scarcity and you're not living in drama. Because what I suggest to you is that a $300 pair of jeans is drama. Is that clear? So cute the way she's talking about this. Yeah, who needs to spend $300 on a pair of jeans? Okay, so then Graham, see what happened during the recording of this channeling. Graham got kicked out of the Skype call, so then Susie took over, but now Graham's back. So Graham says, thank you so much for speaking to that Saint Bernadette. And I want to thank you for joining us today. I feel your energy and I feel this wonderful connection with you. Why is that? And Bernadette says, because I am one of you. I am not some distant saint. And let me tell you, all three of you and most of you who have been listening have had occasion to visit me at Lourdes, to visit me in France. Now I say that, not that we were there all at the same time, although many of us were, but also in other situations. You've talked about bilocation, or leaving your imprint somewhere. Well, I have left my imprint, not only at Lourdes, not only in France, but on your heart. I do not wish to be some ascended master that you honor. I do not place myself in that category. I wish to be your friend. I wish to be your sister. I wish to be the one who helps you out. And I guess that's what she does when people go visit Lourdes and they receive the healing. She's there. That's who they're talking to. Is that right, Steve? Is that how it works?
I would assume that you would be there, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's saying as a sister, as a friend. And yet that's very, very healing. So it's that support of just knowing. So it's so interesting how she works.
You need to factor in the higher dimensional love that she's feeling and radiating to the person at Lourdes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I get that. But I'm just saying that the way that she's talking here, it's just like she says, she's one of us. And in that is great healing. Yeah. Just that, it's like that family support. Mhm. So, and then Graham says, your presence and your assistance is most welcome. You have experienced while on earth, you have experienced considerable hardship and challenge. Can you please share with us a little bit more about staying the course when things feel so challenging? When there's so much criticism or when one follows the road less traveled, the support doesn't feel like it's there and there's judgment from others and people don't understand. Can you share a little bit about your own process and guidance and assistance around staying the course, following one's own intuition and not giving in to the pressures of others? She says, yes, I can. Now, when I was within the cocoon of my family, even after the visions, but particularly beforehand, although we were very poor, and as I have said, there was rarely enough, there was a very strong component of faith. The faith and trust that was embedded within me from my mother and father was very strong. So there was an acknowledgement that although we did not have the riches of the many in society, we had this other richness, and that sustained us. We did not look to the sacred beloved mother or the father as some distant deity, but someone who helped us out on a daily basis. So that was the background. So I think that's what she's extending here. So she had that understanding of the mother being very close to them on a daily basis because they were so poor. And that's what I see when I go into the downtown at East Side and do readings. It's extraordinary. The ones that I talk to are so close to the archangels and the mother. And I've never witnessed that before, but in that type of poverty, the closeness to the other side, it seems to be greater. So, and this is what she's describing as well. Yeah, Steve.
I also invite us to keep in mind that we're talking about, I think, 19th century France, mid
1844.
mid 19th century France, yes. And unlike now, right, nobody spoke to the Divine Mother. Nobody saw the Divine Mother. Do you know what I'm saying? But this generation, on the other hand, sorry, I'm getting a system message here. This generation, on the other hand, listens to the Divine Mother. There are some mediums who see the Divine Mother. I mean, we've never had this kind of access to her and Michael and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, Saint Bernadette is speaking into that kind of space, right?
Yeah.
Amazing, really.
It really is amazing. Yeah. And but I get that with the girls when I do the readings. Like we have more access to this understandings now. Yeah. I get similar when I go, but I don't get when I do readings like in the metaphysical store out in Fort Langley, I don't get the same connection. The people don't have the same connection to the other side that the ones in extreme poverty have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every reading down where I do the readings with the at Wish Foundation are extraordinary. I've never seen anything.
Yeah.
They're really connected.
Hmm.
So I would imagine that it was planned that Bernadette was in this type of poverty, and the family was very connected and called on the mother and the father every day for help, the way that they did, probably for food security, for everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. She says the sacred beloved mother or the father is some distant deity, but someone who helped us out on a daily basis. Okay. Now, when I first began to see the lady, it was so beautiful, magnificent, not just her beauty, but the light that filled her and then filled me, what I have described as the sacred fire. It gave me no choice. So you may call me a very stubborn child, and believe me, they did, because as this began, they wished me to recant what I was saying, because such occasions of visitation do not happen to a young, poor child who has no stature, who has no place, no claim in society. So they were very rough with me, and they were quite cruel. Oh, I have long since forgiven them, even at the time, but I could not betray the lady. I could not lie, and I knew, despite the fact that no one else could see what I was seeing or hear the messages that I was hearing, that I could not deny this precious gift. Let's face it, it was the only gift other than my family that I was ever given. And even when the lady instructed me to do what many were thinking was quite bizarre, undertakings such as digging in the mud, even eating the mud, eating the grass that grew from the spring, they thought that I was becoming more deeply psychotic. They did not use that word in those times, but that was it. And they threatened if I continued that they would simply lock me up, that they would put me away in an asylum. And I suggest to you that the asylums for the insane at that time were nothing like what you have today. But I still could not deny, and I emphasize this stubbornness, this stick-to-itness, this yes, fortitude, because this is what many of you are facing. Yes, it is. Steve.
I think she just said right there what she did. That they would simply lock me up, that they would put me away in an asylum. And I suggest to you that the asylums for the insane at that time were nothing like you have to. She went to the convent to escape from this fate, as I recall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, because they were still calling her psychotic?
Um, no, not that. But when they threatened to lock her up in an asylum, I think that's when she went to the convent and said, "Give me refuge."
Okay. 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 And then she goes on, she says, how can you do this without any external evidence? Where is the proof? Yes, Lillian.
Did you start, excuse me, did you start your timer?
Oh, yes, I did. Okay, we have,
Oh,
we're right at the time. Okay, so good thing that you said that. Okay, so let's just go back to, where were we? Right here. So what shall we send out to the collective? Let's see, what have we got? Healing water. We could send out the understandings of prudence, just the healing and the fire and the water energy of prudence out. The Halion and the Saroon energy. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, that sounds good.
More than I can remember all at once.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see if I've got a picture. Oh,
yeah.
describe it better. There's the Halion and the Saroon. I think that's probably good right there.
Yeah.
Send out those energies. And that's basically prudence. Okay, so let's set the timer for 10 minutes. And then we'll just send that out to the collective. Place of moderation in the middle. Okay. We'll see everyone in 10 minutes. There we go. Okay. That 10 minutes went really fast. I didn't do any sending. I don't know. I think the Halion engineers are working on me. I couldn't do anything. Just like, okay, I'm here. Okay. Did you manage to send something, Steve?
Yes, I sent love and love and love, and I ended up in tranquility. And I said to myself, well, that makes sense. Prudence would produce tranquility. So I then sent out tranquility.
Yeah.
And I found myself yawning a few times and went off video.
Well, tonight, but that was release of old sorrow. So that might be the Halion engineers helping you do that. Yeah, because that came up in the cards right before that they were helping with judgment, like hatred and sorrow. Yeah.
Sorrow. Okay,
And
good.
shame. Sorrow and shame.
I had a lot of sadness come up today. I wrote an article on it.
Okay,
So
good.
that makes sense.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Good. Okay. Anybody share about what that 10 minutes was like, or any other comments about this blessing and virtue? No. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop the recording unless Michael, did you have something to say? No.
On one of your graphics, it had a sand dollar in the
Yeah.
peach color. And I kept focusing on that because I remember back in the 50s when I'd come down here when we were kids, we'd collect sand dollars and dry them. And if you broke one open, there were angels inside of it.
Yeah. It's amazing. All those symbols that my daughter and I did, I didn't understand what we were doing when we were making them, but they all have ascension. They're all ascension symbols. And that's why they go on greeting cards, and they've gone out to the world, thousands of them. And the painting that my daughter did, I had no idea she was painting Saroon then. I just thought it was really pretty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe she should talk to Mary Rodman. She's a lady that helps translate exceptional kids.
Well, they're in her 30s now, so not a child anymore. But yeah, oh, it was really cool because I think we were both healing, and then the other side was helping us heal with the colors. Doing that work. Yeah.
Wow.
Sand dollar, when she did that sand dollar, it was like one of my favorites of all time. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that. That's great. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the recording. So I'll just say thanks to everybody, and we'll be carrying on with Prudence in the next one, in the next class.
Okay, good.